Hey, what's up, everybody? RevSauce9. Make sure to rate, like, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon for the latest and greatest that comes to my channel. So we're going to talk about Dr. Britt Baker because there's reports from Wade Keller of PW Torch. And I'm a little late to this because I've not felt good today with my stomach and my IBS and things like that. Make sure to check me out. Check out all the videos we put up all weekend long and all that stuff. Make sure to check out all my game streaming places because we're going to be game streaming after I get a Monday Night Raw review up for you guys and get dinner and all that stuff. So anyway, and I'm a little far behind. So PW Torch, Wade Keller reported in basically today, and it's been gaining wildfire and traction. And this is stuff we already know about Dr. Britt Baker. Let's keep it a buck here. This is stuff we already know. She's been a problem backstage for quite some time. Her matches have been lackluster. She's injury prone, for shit's sakes. The first 2.5 years of Dr. Britt Baker was fantastic. Great. Everything with her. Bloody fantastic. She was putting on great matches. She had a great staple with Rebel and Jamie Hayter. Hayter was getting over. She was kind of passing the torch to Hayter to be the new staple main person. Everything was going right, and then everything went downhill from there. Her and Thunder Rosa can't get along, supposedly. That I reported that here on this very channel. She had issues with people backstage. Supposedly she got certain people in the doghouse to where Thunder Rosa had to go over here. It's just been a mess with Dr. Britt Baker. I don't know. Maybe new company, maybe new change of scenery, maybe something with her needs to happen. Dr. Britt Baker has not been the same. After her strokes, after her injury, she has not been the same. She's not put on the same quality of matches. Honestly, her promos have been weak. I felt Monet got the best of her, and it's just been, she's declined. She's in the prime of her life, and she's declining slowly, and it's not been good. And it's not the way AEW's been presenting her. When she came back, AEW was presenting her as $1 million. And then all of a sudden, she had a mental health break. Then she was taken off TV because supposedly she got in a fight backstage, an argument, and then MJF had to separate it. And then she got into MJF's face, and it was a whole bunch of shit. So it just tells me she don't want to be there. And what's going to happen was from what this article is saying, and I'll have it down below. This is coming from Cultaholic, Wade Keller. Well, pretty much they take the article from Wade Keller and they put it up on their site. But again, Wade Keller reporting, basically Tony Khan has gotten frustrated with Dr. Britt Baker, basically, which is well documented. And basically people within the locker room are not happy with Dr. Britt Baker. Again, you got people going, oh, well, Britt Baker shouldn't have been canceled, this, that, and the third. She was a problem child back in the locker room. Come on now. Like the reports, there were so many reports that I was reading, and I've reported here on this very channel, that she didn't want to work. She didn't want to put people over. She had issues with people backstage. She didn't like the fact that Thunder Rosa was this, that, and the third. Now, honestly, here we are, full circle, and she gets in one little argument with, I believe, MJF's fiance, wife, whatever. And then all of a sudden, she's being demoted and cutting this promo saying it was all about mental health and how she's going to rise above and how AEW, she's going to take it and put the women's division on her back. And it just hasn't panned out. Like everything to do with Britt Baker has been stop, go, and lackluster. The last 2.5 years has been lackluster with her. And I just, I want to see her be successful, but if all the reports and everything, and take all the reports with a grain of salt, if it's all to be true and it's all to be this, then take it with a grain of salt. But a lot of reports over the last 2 years have said the exact same shit as what Wade Keller is saying. And obviously, Britt Baker did not want to be in AEW the last few years. Then what was the whole stunt of her renewing and extending and all this stuff and how she was going to be the pioneer of the women's division? It hasn't panned out. She's been a glorified bust in my eyes. The first 2 years, I can get down with Britt Baker, with the Thunder Rosa lights out match, but then it's been scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal with her. And the last couple of scandals, I thought she was going to be let go and released by AEW when she pulled the shit that she did with MJF and his fiance. I really believed that. I really thought that she was going to be fired or heavily fined. She was suspended, but there was no reports of her being heavily fined. Then she comes back and says it's mental health. She plays it off. And it didn't look like Britt Baker wanted to be there. She's not happy. She's not in the game. She's not into it. And her matches show it. And unfortunately, Tony Khan has grown probably frustrated, as the article has stated, as I'm reading on Cultaholic here. And honestly, it's not far off. And you got people damage controlling for this. You have people white knighting over this. It's like, look, she had issues the last few years. She doesn't want to be there. And it's the same with the way they were talking about, people were saying Ray Phoenix and basically Miro, Keith Lee, and Ricky Starks. Look, these guys didn't want to play ball. Miro didn't want to do creative. Like, look, if you don't want to do creative and you're this, that, and a third, and you're collecting 5 figures, look, what am I going to do with you? I'll just have you sit on the bench. Is it wrong? Yeah, I think it is a little bit. I think they should just be released without no pay the rest of their contract. But, the same with Malachi Black. This is kind of like how Malachi Black's situation is, too. So, at the end of the day, Britt Baker, I want to see her successful somewhere and happy. She ain't happy right now on that AEW roster. And this is where Tony Khan needs to truly just release talent. Just release talent. Just be done with it. Stop paying them and just release them. Without no pay, let them be free agents. Let them go wherever they need to go to be happy. I think that's what he needs to start doing as an owner of a company. Again, like I said, he's bringing in new talent to replace Britt Baker. Britt Baker has not lived up to her expectations. She's actually digressed. Like, literally, she's gone down on that tier list of mine, since the injury. And then even the Monet match, it just went, whoa. Either you don't want to be there. It kind of reminds me, and it does, it reminds me of Jeff Hardy in a way, where Jeff Hardy, in some, like his WWE last run that he had, where he just didn't want to be there. He just looked like he did not want to be there. He was gassed. He was unhappy. He was just putting on matches to put on matches. And then he walked out in the crowd, and that was it. And they released him next minute. And then he signed with AEW, and he kind of did the same thing with AEW. So again, Dr. Britt Baker, here's the thing with her. I think she could pencil in great in WWE. I think TNA. I even think GCW. I think all these other companies, she can go and revitalize herself. But, look, she's got to stop being her own worst enemy. Like, if these reports are true, is WWE willing to sign Noise? Like, for instance, Tessa Blanchard just got signed from TNA, but she's getting racist chants. People don't really want to work with her, and TNA's kind of having to force people to wrestle against her. I mean, again, time will tell on that project from TNA. But, again, Britt Baker just seems like it was a dud at the end. I mean, that's all I can really say here. I'm not trying to be mean to Britt Baker. The first 2 years of Britt Baker, she was cooking with gas. She was kicking ass, kicking butt, chewing gum. Everybody loved her. Everybody loved her. And at the end of the day, here we are in 2025, and she's declined. She has declined. She hasn't been good. Will WWE pick her up? Who knows? Does she need to do a run in TNA, maybe become Knockouts champion? Maybe this is a get for TNA. Who knows? But at the end of the day, Dr. Britt Baker has been a shell of herself. She has caused problems backstage in the locker room with lots of people. And, she hasn't been the same since the staple with Revel and Jamie Hayter. She has not been the same. The first all in and all out that they did was fantastic. She was on the top of the world, and when she went against Riho, when she went against Shida, she was in the top of her game. She was doing everything right. And then it was one scandal after another with her. She hasn't put it together since. Like, she's been a shell of herself. And people don't, people want to defend this. People want to sit and say, well, Britt Baker and White Knight. It's like, no. She's had issues. I've well documented it here on my channel in the past that she's had issues. She had issues with Saraya. She's had issues with Thunder Rosa. She's had issues over here. She doesn't want to give up top spot energy. She never wanted to pass the baton to people. And here we are in 2025 where Tony Khan's fed up with her, and I can't blame him for it when somebody doesn't want to do the job or don't want to work. But release your talent. Like, if they're unhappy to be in AEW, just release them. Be done with it, man. Like, the same I feel about Malachi, Ray Phoenix, all these people. Like, just release them for the contract without the rest of their pay and be done and move on. Like, you could bring in people. That's what they're doing. That's why they brought in Megan Bain. That's why they're bringing in a lot of different women's talent. Camille's going to come off an injury sooner than later and probably have a good run somewhere. Jamie Hayter's starting to come around. We got Julia Hart coming around. I think the Monet's days are done. You know what I mean? But again, this just doesn't look good on AEW, period. Tony Khan or anything like that. And it doesn't look good for Britt Baker because Britt Baker, I really like her. I really believe in her, but you got problems. You got issues. Obviously, it shows that you didn't want to play ball and you wanted to squash people personally, and you got in a lot of fights backstage. Will WWE want to take that on? Will TNA want to take that on? Who knows? Time will tell. This is purely my opinion. I like Dr. Britt Baker, but she comes with scandals and issues, unfortunately. And if you read this, some sources are stating that they don't want her in the locker room, but they're willing to do business for AEW for her. But and then there was an incident with MJF and the factors on television and all this stuff, and there was factors with Big Swole and all this stuff. Britt Baker's been a problem and a drama problem. And it just seems like either Britt Baker don't want to do the job or she feels like she's top talent, but then also she's injury prone. So at the end of the day, like I said, I know a lot of people like Dr. Britt Baker, want to see her have a great rest of her career. I want to see her somewhere landing on her feet. I think TNA would be perfect for her. I think with the Tessa Blanchard shit, I think if Tony Khan just wanted to simply release her, I think she'd fit right in with TNA real quickly. And I think she could revitalize herself in TNA or MLW or on the indie scene or better at Stardom and just work her way back up. I think I think that the case is out for her, but she's got to stop getting in these little situations where she doesn't like people and whatnot. And I just don't understand it. Yeah, Britt Baker puts on great matches when she wants to, but the last few times that she's been out, it's not been good. She's botched moves. Looks like she doesn't want to be there. When she did the whole AEW versus Monet shit, it just didn't come off the way it needed to come off. And I get why Tony Khan's frustrated, and I get why others are frustrated, and I totally understand. I see the other side of that. But then I see her side of it going, well, I was sat on the sidelines, no creative plans for me. I feel, shaded or, whatever. You know what I mean? I get that side of it too. But at the end of the day, her match wasn't good against Monet, and then when she was suspended and came back, it wasn't good either. So I don't know what else to say about Dr. Britt Baker. I wish her all the best, and I hope that she lands somewhere and probably has some success somewhere. I think TNA would be perfect for her, but that's just me. Anyway, my name is RevSauce9. I will see you guys. Let me know down below what you think. I'll have this article down below. At the end of the day, it is what it is. I want to see people be successful in wrestling, but when they cause controversies and problems, it gets hard for an owner to do what they need to do. And I see Tony Khan's side of it. I also see her side of it, but I see a lot of the scandals that she put AEW under. And there was a lot of reports over the last few years of her not wanting to work, not to play ball, that she could have came back sooner from her injuries. She wanted to wait out, and it just hasn't panned out. The first 2-3 years, great stuff. Now, not really. Anyway, my name is RevSauce9. I'll see you guys. Peace.